Item Number: SCP-928. Object Class: Euclid Exequi. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-928 is kept in a glass viewing case, situated at the far end of a 3 m by 5 m containment room at Site-80. The case can be unlocked by the concurrent use of 2 keys. These keys are currently held by Researcher Short and Researcher Kaplan. At least 2 personnel must be present at all times when SCP-928 is being interacted with. SCP-928 must be monitored with audio and visual surveillance at all times. Recordings are to be analyzed by staff at Site-80. All chess moves dictated by SCP-928 must be recorded in Document 928-3. Attempts to reconstruct the game that it is playing are ongoing. Description: SCP-928 is a doll made primarily of ceramic and cloth. The eyes of the doll are capable of movement, and will usually follow any person in the vicinity. SCP-928 is otherwise physically unremarkable. Although its mouth does not move, SCP-928 is capable of producing vocalizations. These vocalizations resemble those of a middle-aged human male, with an as-of-yet unidentified accent, and typically consist of exchanges of pleasantries, or requests for clarification of some sort. Upon review of available data, background noises have been isolated, which may imply that SCP-928 is producing recordings of some sort, rather than producing the sounds wholesale. Background noises noted so far include dull thuds and rumbling, possibly corresponding to distant explosions, heavy machinery, or various geological, meteorological phenomena. An unidentified, indistinguishable feminine voice, most likely that of a young adult, generally agreed to be urgent-sounding. A variety of music played on an instrument that is most likely a highly modified piano. Similarities to human singing have been noted, but no conventional musical instruments fully account for these noises. Rustling and scribbling noises, most likely of paper and the usage thereof. Periodically, SCP-928 will issue commands corresponding to movements in a game of Capablanca chess. While other variants are possible, considering the squares and pieces present, Capablanca chess is the most widely known variant that is consistent with known data. In most cases, there will be several weeks or months between commands, but intervals have ranged from 3 hours to 8 years. Commands are not always issued in correspondence with formal chess notation, but are comprehensible. No link has been verbally established between the status of the match SCP-928 is playing and the vocalization it makes. It is not currently believed to be speaking to Foundation personnel. Vocalizations deemed not notable are available in Document 928-6. No personal information about the entity, or entities controlling SCP-928, has been noted. If a human subject comes within 3 meters of SCP-928, SCP-928 will vanish and reappear adjacent to the subject several seconds later. However, if there is at least one additional human within 3 meters of the subject, SCP-928 will not exhibit this behavior. Approximately 65% of subjects exposed to this behavior have left Foundation custody through various means within 4 days of exposure, and none have been recovered. Anecdotal evidence of subjects exposed to SCP-928 existing outside of Foundation custody exists. However, none of the subjects appeared to notice or be willing to communicate with personnel, and were inexplicably lost. Thus, these reports remain unconfirmed. Of the 35% that remain in Foundation custody, none have died or experienced demotion of any sort. Though technically impossible to confirm, it is generally accepted that SCP-928's commands corresponds to events that occur in the real world, due to the timing of moves made by SCP-928 and the placement of SCP-928 Supplementary Documentation. Security Mimetic. Stolen and hidden. Circumstances indicate tampering. Implies competing accordances. Addendum. Partial list of notable vocalizations made by SCP-928. Date. Vocalization: September 13th, 1947. Glad that I'm not on my first try here. May 19th, 1958. We are not expecting visitors at any point. May 30th, 1968. Such a controlling nature. It should be tamed. November 19th, 1977. This code, the cipher, can be cracked. September 11th, 1985. Shattered to pieces. The princess is unyielding nonetheless. January 8th, 1992. Need some help? It's said I'm quite handy. October 15th, 1998. You and me should play again afterwards. Remaining records are sealed until further notice. Addendum. Partial list of hypothesized relationships between SCP-928's moves and real-world events. Date. Move. Event or events hypothesized. Notes. June 8th, 1946. Castling. Recovery and containment of SCP-928 by the Foundation. None. September 28th, 1951. Archbishop 1B to C3. Formation of Global Occult Coalition by UN mandate. Move noted to establish a stronghold for White. Defensive position was ceded at the end of November 9th, 1989. Chancellor D3 to D6. Opening of the Berlin Wall by Soviet officials. Studies of previous moves by the White Chancellor are underway, have failed to produce useful results. November 7th, 1999. Pawn F3 to E4 takes pawn. Incident. Data corrupt. October 27th, 2004. Bishop I7 to J8 takes bishop. Boston Red Sox win the World Series. Move followed 3 moves by a White's bishop in an apparent attempt to capture Black's bishop. December 9th, 2007. Pawn C7 to C8. Promote the queen. Record sealed by order of 05-13. 05-1. Record sealed by order of 05-13. 05-1. December 13th, 2007. Bishop to C8 takes queen. Record sealed by order of 05-1. It is assumed that the pawn that was promoted to queen was captured by Black's queen on December 10th. Additional resources have been allocated to research possible identities of the bishop in question. Remaining records are sealed until further notice. Addendum. Excerpts from analysis of SCP-928 gameplay. Document has been modified to increase readability for researchers and executives who are not intimately familiar with chess strategy and tactics. While SCP-928 strategy is difficult to ascertain given the very incomplete information existing regarding the game's state and the actions of its opponent, I have come to the conclusion that SCP-928 is, if not highly skilled, then at least gives a very good impression of it. I would put it roughly on par with myself and slightly above Researcher Kaplan. It does not appear to possess the center squares, but I believe it is attempting to control them from the outside, suggesting influence from the hyper-modern school. On the whole, if I were forced to make an assessment, its playstyle is most reminiscent of Alekhine. But as Alekhine did not play Capablanca chess, I am not as well versed in that particular variation's masters. I cannot say for sure. Alexander Alekhine was the 4th World Chess Champion, born October 1892, died March 1946. Given the dearth of data with which I have to work, nothing more should be expected. I can say very little about Black, except that it seems to surpass SCP-928 in skill. While SCP-928 is very tactically precise, its opponent seems to practice a prophylactic style, stymieing most of White's tactics. Prophylaxis is any move that restricts the opponent's freedom to take action in a certain area unimpeded. Black controls somewhat more space than White, and is most likely on the initiative. In short, while Black probably has fewer pieces than White, it makes use of them more effectively, and has a strategic advantage over White, which I suspect results from a knowledge of its opponent superior to White's understanding of it. Unless we significantly misjudge the game state, or SCP-928 displays some unexpected skills, it will most likely lose within 30 turns. I am obviously unable to say what exactly this would entail for the doll itself, or for the Foundation, considering that we are in possession of it. Signed, Researcher Lester Short.